G'day fellas, welcome to the civilization overview for Ethiopia. Both of the new African civilizations bring a lot of new mechanics, so you're going to need to be patient as I do my best to explain them to you. It's important to note that the two civilizations share a lot of new mechanics, but at the same time they have a lot of unique mechanics as well. So we're going to be diving straight into the deep end. We're going to take a look at exactly what you're going to be seeing when you launch into a game as the Ethiopians. As the Ethiopians, you don't start with resource crates. You instead start with 5 zebu cattle. You're also going to be starting with a livestock market builder. For the Ethiopians, the market and the livestock pen are combined into a single building. The first thing you're going to want to do is place down your livestock market immediately. Now, despite starting with 5 zebu cattle, only 4 of the 5 can actually be tasked to the livestock market. The 5th zebu cattle is automatically going to be killed and gathered by your villagers. It's going to provide you 400 food and it doesn't actually decay, which means you don't have to eat it all right there and then. Your first villager is normally going to get queued right about 10 seconds, and you probably would have begun moving your explorer by then. You'll notice that the Explorer movement speed is 6.75, which is much faster than a standard Explorer, but obviously slower than the Lakota Explorer. Unlike the Lakota Explorer, however, this Explorer has a ranged attack. It can also go into melee and does actually snare. Instead of having a crack shot or a convert ability, it's got an ability called Chaos. The Chaos ability is an area of effect ability, meaning you don't actually have to target a unit, you can just place it on the ground. When you do that, it's going to behave in 2 different ways depending on how you use it. If there are multiple treasure guardians, it's going to cause each guardian to attack another guardian. If there is a single guardian, it's going to cause that single guardian to be stunned. In the event you use Chaos and there's 3 guardians or 2 guardians and then one of them dies in the duration of Chaos, the last guardian standing will still get stunned for the rest of the duration of Chaos. When it comes to the duration of Chaos, it depends on the strength of the targets that you're using it on. Stronger guardians are going to be influenced by Chaos much longer than weaker guardians. When it comes to managing your early game economy, the Ethiopians have got it a lot easier than most other civilizations thanks to the Granary. The Granary is a free building that takes 20 seconds to build and provides a 10% bonus to all hunt gathering in the area it affects. It also lures nearby hunts, so instead of them walking away from your town, they're actually walking towards it instead. In the early game, it's important you place at least 1 Granary down just to help your herd in the early game as well as provide that all-important bonus to your food gathering speed. The Granary also provides upgrades for your villagers for when they're gathering food, just like a typical market normally would. The livestock market, on the other hand, doesn't actually provide you any food-related upgrades. Now, because I didn't start with any wood crates as the Ethiopians, I'm going to be chopping wood in the early game just to get a house down. But that's not the only way that you can actually collect wood. You see, the livestock market is more than just a livestock pen and a market together. It's actually a livestock market, which means that you have the option to sell your livestock from the beginning of the game. Livestock value is complex to calculate, so I'm going to do my best to explain it to you. As a livestock fattens, the number of food that it's got on it continues to accumulate until it reaches a maximum amount. For the zebu cattle, which you start off with as the Ethiopians and you can train as the Ethiopians, that maximum amount is 500. When you sell livestock at the livestock market, you're actually trading it in for either wood or for coin. You get to choose what you like. But keep in mind, the price that you get for your livestock isn't just based on the amount it's fattened up. Let's say that you've got some zebu cattle, and they're fattened all the way up to 500 out of 500. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be getting 500 wood or 500 coin for them. And the reason why is because of this guy down here, the livestock value. Throughout the game, your livestock value is going to continue to increase. It will continue to increase until it reaches 100%. It moves up at 0.1% every second. So that means over 10 seconds, it's going to move up 1%. Over 100 seconds, it moves up 10%, and so on and so forth. Now, you might be like, okay, well, that's completely ridiculous. I can just continue selling my cattle over and over and over again for 500 wood and 500 coin and 500 wood and 500 coin. But it's not that simple. Your livestock value starts at 58%, and it continues ticking up for the rest of the game. After 7 minutes, you're going to hit 100% livestock value. But the moment you actually sell one of your livestock, it's going to tank the price of the livestock value, reducing it by 20%. It bottoms out at 20% livestock value, which means you can't go lower than that. But at that point, when your livestock's only worth 20%, is it really worth just selling it on the market? It's probably just easier to gather your livestock and then just trade it in for the resource that you want. Now, I expect that a lot of you guys probably haven't really understood exactly how I've explained this, so you might need to go back and watch it a couple more times until it really clicks. But I guess I would just say at this point in time, I don't know whether this is crazy overpowered. I don't know whether it's really weak. The best thing that we can do is just watch, wait, and see, and then we'll work it out from there. I'll give you a couple hypothetical situations on how you can actually use your Zebu cattle though. So remember how at the start of this game, I actually started chopping wood for a house because I didn't have a house? What you can actually do is wait until your cattle is worth 160 wood, then you can trade in your cattle and then use 100 of that wood for your house and then 60 of that wood for the food upgrade, which is available from the Granary. That way you can keep all of your villagers on food, and on top of that, you've got an extra fast gathering speed in the first age. Keep in mind that there is an opportunity cost, and that by trading in that cow, not only have you reduced the price down for when you next potentially trade it in for wood, that cow is now no longer fattening and subsequently isn't going to net you such a great price. And on top of that, when you keep your cows alive, they actually trickle in influence, which is the brand new resource for the Ethiopians. Influence is a resource that you can collect in a number of different ways. For the Ethiopians, the most common way is by building a mountain monastery on a coin mine. The mountain monastery is a unique building to the Ethiopians. It's available in the first age and has a very low build limit. The mountain monastery costs 200 wood and gathers at the rate of about 1.2 villagers on a coin mine. However, you can actually configure the mountain monastery to, instead of giving you only coin, to give you a split with influence as well. Keep in mind there's a lot of different ways that you can earn influence as the Ethiopians, but that's probably the most basic one. Alright, so you know how to get influence, but what can you actually do with it? There are a number of different ways that you can use influence as Ethiopia. Inside of your mountain monasteries, there are technologies that are unique to the Ethiopians. To research these technologies, you're going to need influence. I'll give you an example of some of the technologies. Here's one called the Solomonic Dynasty. It allows you to get an additional explorer, and on top of that, when you defeat enemy units or buildings, instead of them just giving you experience, they also give you influence as well. And here's another technology called Kebra Nagast. You may be familiar with what it actually gives you if you've played the United States and ever shipped the Virginia General Assembly, because it does the exact same thing as the statehood upgrade for the United States, reducing the speed of the next age up. But here is something to note about Ethiopian age ups. They're not called age ups, they're called alliances. Instead of aging up with a politician, you're going to be going up with an alliance to the second, third, fourth, and fifth age. I'm not going to go into details for each of those alliances right now, but I will tell you this. You start with the option to choose one of 5 alliances. No matter which alliance you pick, the 4 remaining alliances will be there for the next age, and a new alliance will be added for the Fortress Age, which will be the Indians. And just the same with the previous ages, when you're considering about going up to the 4th age, you're going to be dealing with those 4 alliances that you previously had the opportunity for, but now you're going to have the Oromo as well. When you're considering going up to Imperial Age, the last addition is going to be the Arabs, and let me tell you, they are definitely my favorite. And the reason why is because of this bad boy right here. Unlocks the Gatling Camel and Mamelukes at the palace. Now, when it comes to the palace, we're going to be getting into that more in the next video. But before we get into that video, I just want to explain one quick thing before we move on to the next video. As I've been showing you all of these age ups, you would have seen a number of different gains that you get listed as the bonus, and then a couple of different unlocks that there are down the bottom. Now, as you're going through the ages and delaying each one of these potential alliances, you're going to get a significantly larger gain from each age up. However, the unlocks are always going to remain the same. If you choose to ally with Habesha, going from age 1 into age 2, you'll be gaining crates of 300 coin. But if you choose to ally with Habesha going up to the Imperial Age, that will be 2,000 coin that you will receive instead of 300. These unlocks, however, will remain the same whether it's in the Commerce Age or the Imperial Age. So what are the unlocks? How do they work? Well, earlier in the video we talked about the Mountain Monastery, and that you could research unique technologies like Solomonic Dynasty and Kebra Nagast. Each alliance that you make throughout the game is then going to be giving you access to brand new technologies, like this technology here from the Portuguese called church organs, which ship 1 organ gun for each of your mountain monasteries present on the map. While I appreciate that with this video we haven't even touched on the military side of the Ethiopians, I hope you join me in watching the next video in the series, which is going to provide you an insight as to every single Ethiopian unit, how you can get it, and what your options are once you reach the 2nd age. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you've enjoyed this civilization overview for the Ethiopians.